Hey again, this is Devin, and we are back to try some more Steam Next Fest February 2024 demos. I've added one game to this list. It is Tales from the Dancing Moon. I learned about it earlier today, and it just looked pretty cool. I don't know how well it's going to work on video here, but we'll put it on there anyway. The wheel may not even land on it. Let's see what it does land on and where we're going to start. Under the Yoke. Let's check the settings before we jump in here. Okay, not much going on there. All right, we have some decisions to name here, or to make here, excuse me. I'm just going to randomize everything. Oh, wow. Yieldhelm Millership. Let's go with that. Date of birth. I'm just going to stick with that. That sounds good. Appearance. We'll randomize that a little bit too. Let's go with that. Personality. Mind. Okay. Sharp. Artistic. Strange. Thick. Or silly. Let's go with strange. Body. Groomed. Delicate. Brawny. Bulky. Slender. I'm gonna go delicate. And spirit. Oh, interesting. Conflicting. So we can't pick devout, maybe because we're strange. Oh, let's go taciturn. I identify with that. Now we've got some skills to pick. Farming, husbandry, carpentry, herbalism, cooking, and tailoring. And I've got 5 points to spend. Maybe it's a good idea to lean into my strengths and maybe bring something else up a little bit. Let's go with that. And we're sure. Interface. By clicking the top part of this tutorial, you can move the tutorial around the screen for greater visibility. Okay. You can navigate the majority of the game using the... What is that? Using something at the top of the screen. I don't know what that is. In order to access the main menu, you can use the escape key. The game will autosave at the end of each season. Okay. In order to see where you are in a season, you can click on the calendar at the top right of the whatever that is for a more detailed view of the time of year. Yeah, I don't have a clue what this is supposed to be. Are those letters? I guess that's a capital I, and this looks identical to that, so maybe that's an I. Oh, this is U. So that says UI, top right of the UI. They should do something about that, I think, before this game ships. This font in general is I guess like a fraught choice because a lot of people are going to have trouble reading this. but that UI in particular is cursed, as the kids would say. Some UI is integrated into the map. You can mouse over it and click in order to access it, so feel free to look around a bit. In order to advance time, you can press the play button or space. In order to increase or decrease the speed that time passes, use the respective buttons or the plus and minus keys. Characters. The character button at the top UI leads you to the character menu. Here you can view your family members. You can also put a family member to work by clicking and holding on their portrait and dragging them to a work area such as the forest. When a character is not working, either because they are in the menu or because you have not selected a job for them, they will rest, fulfilling their need for rest over time. Okay, so there are some areas on this map that are clickable. There's the church. The church menu can be viewed by selecting the church on the map. Try it now. That's what we just did. In this menu, each family member has a number of actions that can be taken in order to increase their faith. Praying is the most basic action, which yields the smallest amount of faith mood, but other actions may require a trade-off in order to increase faith. Okay, so we've got some different actions we can do here at the church. Let's try... Okay, that's the village. And I guess these are the families who live in the village. These have hover states, but they don't seem to be clickable. At least not right now. Town. The town is a useful spot to buy and sell goods. Some goods, such as metalwork, can only be purchased in town, whereas tertiary goods like dyed clothes can be produced but may require late-game tools. In order to travel to the town, you must click on the town, which will present you with the travel window. I guess that's what I'm looking at now behind the tutorial here. In this window, family members can be selected to go to town, as well as containers to increase the capacity of goods they can carry, and pack animals to increase speed or increase the weight of goods that can be ferried back and forth. When a family member is selected to go to the town, you will not be able to interact with them until they return. Animals can also be bought or sold in town. If an animal is not with you, you will need to pay a small drover's fee to get them back to the village. So I guess I click these if I want to pick a family member. And it seems like I've only got the one family member now, so I guess that's going to evolve over time. Let's hit characters. We've got our adult here. And I can drag them to wherever. So it already said that you could drag them to the forest. I'm just gonna do that and see what happens. When a character is in a work area, they can perform certain tasks depending on the season and whether they have the right materials for the job. Some jobs, such as cutting wood and gathering wood, both produce the same good, but as cutting wood requires an axe, it is much easier to produce wood. Okay. On each job, you can see an indicator showing which skill is required, how much skill that character has at the job, and what the overall amount of effort is in order to complete that job. Multiple characters performing the same job will contribute to the same effort pool, so it is always faster to have two characters working on a job rather than one. There is no minimum skill required to perform a job, merely a difference in the time it takes for each character to complete a job. After selecting a job, there is an option to increase or decrease the number of times the job is performed. By holding Shift when pressing a button, you can increase the quantity by 10, or by holding Command, you can set the character to perform the job infinitely until you tell them to stop. Okay, that's kind of a lot. There was something about a skill level, but I'm not seeing that here. Does resting mean that maybe since I don't have an axe, there's nothing to do there? These all say resting. So maybe that's not what it means. Okay. I have a scythe, so maybe I should be in a field. The frost has been gentle so far. Autumn field, spring field. And this is actually where The Simpsons is set, is in the spring field. Alright. Now we have legal. Okay. Oh, maybe it was resting just because it's pause. Let's put him on a field and play and see what happens. By right-clicking on any character, you can bring up the character sheet. Try it now. At the top, you can see their name, age, whether they are pregnant, and also you can customize their hair by clicking on the shears icon. Mood. In the characters section, you can first see their mood. By pointing your cursor over a mood, you can see what is affecting their change in that mood. Each mood ticks down each week by a certain amount, but a mood can be increased through certain actions. Taste can be increased by varying your family's diet with more tasty ingredients. Rest can be increased each time a character does not currently have a job to do. Faith can be increased by performing actions in the church. Social can be increased by interacting with other villagers. Low mood can decrease a character's skills, so it's worth keeping your family members happy. One thing that occurred to me back here on this screen, I think it would be better if these icons were aligned with the top of the description. That way, like with this one, it's less ambiguous what this icon is associated with. But that's just a UI nitpick. Okay. I guess, we can look at the character sheet. The other thing is the way it fired off those two tutorials right in a row, I had nearly forgotten that I was supposed to be trying out the character sheet. Here are our moods. That's all it takes, just a few seconds, a few things to read and focus on, and whatever happened before is completely erased from my memory. In the personality section, you can view a character's personality traits, which can decide how they interact with other villagers, how much they enjoy certain activities, how good they are at different jobs, as well as give them special options and events. Now, these are the things I picked initially. Skills. In the skills sections, you can see your character's current skill level. Try navigating there now. By mousing over each skill, you can see what is affecting their current level. Farming represents your character's propensity for field work. Herbalism represents your character's abilities with plants and their properties. Cooking represents ability to prepare and store food. Husbandry represents character's ability to work with animals. Carpentry represents character's skills with woodworking. Tailoring represents your character's skills with cloth work. Yeah, so herbalism is our best skill, but we're also good at... Are the icons flipped? Or are the labels flipped? One of the two. I'm going to guess that this is in fact husbandry because that was the one I leveled higher. Although none of these seem to be the number I set when I was assigning those skill points. And I'm not clear why that is, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. In the Actions tab, you can select other villagers to interact with. This is necessary to form relationships with other characters, which can aid you in events in the Hall Moat, in lawsuits, in elections, and for marriage. I don't know what the Hall Moat is. Your personality will affect how well you get on with another character, as will the activity you decide to go on together. The bar beneath the cost of the activity shows the probability you fall out, get on, or really get on. Getting on is such a funny way to put that. After maxing out your relations with the character, you will have the option of either upgrading your friendship or performing a special action with them, such as beginning courting an eligible bachelorette. It is important to note that villagers will interact with each other in the background, marrying one another. So if you're interested in another villager, you'd best make a move quickly. You must also woo your wife after your wedding in order to produce children together. Well, just like real life. Strong relationships with other villagers can also result in more powerful special actions, such as guaranteed support in the next elections or random gifts. And inventory. By selecting the inventory section, you can view your character's currently equipped items. Clothing only in the demo. Items of clothing can improve moods, improve your reputation and skills, but they are expensive and break down over time. We don't have anything, so I guess the good news is our nothing won't break down over time. Now, how do we... I thought it said that we could do something here to try to interact with a villager, but I'm not seeing how that works. I can bring up their character sheets. I guess I wouldn't want to... I probably don't want to try to woo someone else's wife. I'm assuming these are paired couples. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do there. And I don't see a way to get back to the tutorial. So, what do we do here? What is this again? The mill. In order to access the mill, place your cursor over the mill on the map and click on the white circle. The mill will be a primary source of food for your early playthrough. Serfs are not allowed to prepare their own bread, thus they must rely on the mill or risk a fine. Taxes and fees for using the mill are priced in whenever you use the mill. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know. Let's put him there. Okay, the days are just flying by. I have no idea what's actually happening. Are we doing anything? It looks like we're resting. By pressing E, you can switch between the world map and a view of your house. When viewing your house, you can scroll along by holding the A and D keys. Try navigating there now. Your house starts out as little more than a dilapidated hut. In this you have slots for furniture as well as a cooking pot from which you can access the cooking menu. Furniture requires construction with materials before you can begin performing tasks with it. Each piece of furniture allows you to process goods gathered from the world into more valuable secondary goods. such as ale from rye using the larder. Similarly, the garden has slots for furniture and can be used to grow additional tastier foods such as fruits, vegetables, and herbs, as well as a chicken coop which will allow you to breed chickens. You can deconstruct any piece of furniture by right-clicking on it and following the prompt. Both of these can be expanded through by getting permission from your lord using the feudal contract, though upgrading either will require significant material and work. Looks like I don't have materials for any of those, and these are the same ones. I guess I just have 2 slots. It probably said that in the tutorial, but I forgot, or it was in one ear and out the other. Each week your family will consume a meal. This meal requires 1 ingredient per person. You can open up the cooking menu by pressing C. Yeah, I think C. It's not T. This is a bad font for a tutorial, I think. Or by clicking on the hearth in your home. The menu will also appear if your current meal is missing an ingredient. In this menu, you can select which meal your family is eating and which ingredients they should use. Different meal types require different ingredients, from simple bread to pottage to full roasts. These meals may give you a bonus or malus to productivity across your family members' skills. I have never seen malice used that way. I guess, just based on the context, I guess it's the opposite of a bonus. Huh. Different ingredients also provide different levels of taste, with a total taste influencing your family members' taste mood. Oh, sorry, your family members' taste mood. Optional ingredients do not need to be added to a meal in order for it to be eaten, but they do increase the overall taste of the meal. In the event that you have no food, you can select the option to starve. This will rapidly reduce your family's health. Feasts are an option in the cooking menu. You can host a feast to increase your popularity with other villagers. Certain events will generate special reasons for a feast: harvests, plowing, birthdays, deaths, and more. These events increase the options of each guest of the host by a greater deal than a generic feast, as well as yield some respect. A successful family should be looking to throw a feast frequently, though the size of the feast denotes how much food will be consumed. Okay, I'm assuming now is probably not a great time for a feast. Yeah, we've got 7 weeks worth of meal for our family of 1, so probably not a good time to host a feast. Still not clear what I'm doing wrong here, what I should be doing. It feels like there are a lot of tutorials on the different parts of this game, but I'm missing something that kind of ties it all together and gives some of the logistical stuff, like, okay, here's how this piece works, and now here's what you actually do as the player. And it's giving me some of that, but I'm either missing it or not understanding it, or there are key pieces of it that it's not giving. Plowing is done in common with the other villagers, though depending on your allotment of land, you will need to contribute a certain amount of resources to help with the plow. I guess that word is plow. I'm just pronouncing it as if I know. You can assign characters to help with the plow, beasts of burden, or hired hands. By over-contributing to the plow, you can finish the work early. Any characters assigned to plow work will be locked in until they are finished plowing, so be careful unless you change the plowing schedule by click on the plow icon in the Fields tab. Fields, under the Yoke, models, the English open... Oh, okay, sorry, that's the name of the game. Under the Yoke, models the English open field system. In this system, the lands were all cared for in common, and each family would own a strip of land within the field. I like that historical context. The three-field system is also in use, named for the season in which they are plowed. The autumn field, this is where rye and wheat are sown. Rye is a hardy crop with good yields, though it isn't as tasty as wheat. It is the food of common folk. Wheat is a cash crop. It requires more fertile fields and doesn't yield quite as well, but it does fetch a better price than rye. Those are the two things we just read. The spring field is where legumes and oats are sown. Legumes are peas, which can be used in pottage, a staple of the medieval peasant diet. Oats can also be consumed by peasants, or they can be consumed by animals if hay runs low. They're also solely consumed by chickens. Oh, is this just... Every time I click this, it's just adding more? That's kind of strange behavior. The fallow field. This field is not sown or plowed, but instead is left to restore the fertility for the next 2 years of crops. You can harvest hay on this field. I also am not understanding exactly how they're using these sort of bullets here. You can see the status of a field visually on the map, or you can check the field tab in the top UI for a detailed breakdown of the status of a field. When a field is plowed, sown, and fertilized, there is not much work to do except for weeding, as weeds can hurt the crop yield. Summer is harvest season, though you may harvest at any time. A later harvest will allow the plants more time to grow. Be careful though, after harvesting most crops you will need to thresh them. Any crop left on the field come autumn will spoil and be wasted. Okay, I guess I can assign him to the field, but I apparently need 5 people assigned to the field, and I definitely can't do that. I don't have any animals. Hired help. I don't know what's happening here. Am I spending money to hire someone? Spending 5 pennies to hire help? And maybe now I won't need to work? Do I have pennies? Not clear. Let's give it a shot. Looks like that's okay. I'm running low on food. I have no idea how to get food, so I'm just cruising towards starvation. Maybe when I plow the fields I will have something to eat, I hope. I don't know what's happening here. In order to better understand his new kingdom, King William the Conqueror has commissioned a great survey of the lands of England. Every town, village, and hamlet has met the censors and asked to give an inventory of their rights and duties. Like in the Bible, engage thoroughly, or pa, typical Normans. I have no idea what any of these options mean in this context. Maybe I don't know my history well enough, or maybe I'm just dense in general. Let's engage thoroughly. Through your direct engagement with the censures, though your direct engagement with the censures isn't necessary, you nonetheless find them to give a complete inventory, going so far as to include your various pots and pans. Though the censures dismiss you before you are finished, you are sure they are pleased with such a complete accounting. You come to find the census being referred to as the Domesday Book. Certainly an ominous name. I'm sure I made it into the book. Okay. Now I'm very low on food. I think we've extracted just about all we can from this one. I am very interested in the idea of it, but I think it needs a better tutorial. Instead of just kind of dumping a bunch of information on you as you explore the UI, I would like to see it really hold your hand and say, okay, here's the first thing you should do. Grab your character and take them and drag them here. And now go into this and click this button. You know, just hold your hand and take you through the process you need to get through one season, or, you know, whatever the atomic unit of time is in the game that would get you through sort of all the actions you would need to understand. I'd like to see it just take you through that step by step and then say, okay, now you know everything, go to it. But as it stands, I'm just reading these big tutorials. I don't really understand how they fit in the bigger picture. And really, I just don't know how to play the game, even though I read a whole bunch of tutorial text. And I would like to know, but I don't. So let's go back over to the wheel and see what's next. Let's give it another spin. Codex Lost. This game wants a controller, so I've fired up my Xbox controller. Oh, it's going to tell me to get a controller and then have me use it to move a cursor around on the screen. It's an interesting choice. Also, I don't have my native resolution. I think I picked automatic. I don't know if that is the same thing as my native resolution. So far, I'm not confident this is going to go well. But let's give it a shot. We may not be in this one for very long. Yep, that all looks good until I figure out that it isn't.
Before the Midlight Age began, the ancients gifted 5 grimoires to the fledgling races.
I don't have the patience for that until I see that this is something I want to engage with. Especially since I already suspect it might not be. I don't seem to have a way to skip this. Class selection. Alright, I think this is the spellcasting Souls-like. Let's go with the Arcanist. I don't love that the step animation is inconsistent with how much the character is moving. It's like the feet are not connected to the ground. Okay, here are our controls. R, interact with people and objects. What is R? Like the trigger or the shoulder button? Or is it click in the right stick? Enter. Open game menu. It's... Okay, I don't know what that was. That was an X press. Yeah, this is an odd choice to tell you. So the game didn't tell me to use a controller, but Steam popped up a pop-up and said you should use a controller. And then for the game to give me keyboard controls exclusively after that seems like a really odd choice. It said X interacts, but X uses that crystal, which is maybe healing. So I don't know if that's talking about the X button on the keyboard. And if it is, I have no idea how I would interact on the controller. Oh, okay, A. Spellcrafting. Oh boy. That's a lot of very tiny text. And no context for what this is. You know, I don't think this one is ready for us right now, for me at least. I don't think that I don't think I have it in me to try to bang my head against this and figure out what's going on here. So I guess, what can I say about it? I like the idea of a spellcasting Souls-like. I think that could be neat. This one is just pretty rough, and I understand that. And Next Fest games are at all sorts of different stages of development. And maybe someday this will come out in a state that I can come back to it and have a good time. But I don't think that day is today. So let's see what the wheel has for us next. Synergy. I think this is the most exciting demo I saw based on the way it looks. I really love this art. Let's see what settings we have. This text is very small. Interface and text size. I can just barely read that. I understand that I play PC games in a different manner than a lot of people. I'm not sitting up on a computer monitor. I am sitting back from a television, but that's what I like. And most games facilitate that pretty well. I would like to see that popped up as like an immediate option as soon as you launch the game. If there's not maybe some better way to do that, maybe if my resolution is 4K, you just automatically set a higher UI scale. Also, this is not the resolution of my monitor. That is it. I'm not sure what the implications of that are. Frequency is 30 FPS. I'm not sure why that's the default. Let's say no limit. Let's just go ahead and crank this stuff up until the frame rate tells us not to. Okay, the campaign we're picking is No Man's Land, which I guess is the tutorial? Tutorial is crucial to getting players familiar with the game mechanics, ensuring a rewarding game experience and an understanding of the game's objectives. The Origin, a group of exiles having to leave the desiccated oasis that had cradled them until then, must rebuild in spite of their meager resources. However, the climate challenges them at every turn, and the desert overflows with strange and dangerous mysteries. Okay. An end to the wandering. For 2 generations, our community lived in the heart of an oasis protected from the hazards of the outside world. But this oasis, like all the others, dried out and died. We were forced to leave our home. But all is not lost. Among the stretches of sand, we reach the shores of new lakes. Their waters, no matter how foul, promise to be life-saving if we can only treat them. Huh. Obtaining water. Your citizens require clean water to survive. In order to obtain it, you must build a pontoon so your citizens might draw toxic water from the lake using special canisters. Toxic water must then be treated and purified in a retention basin to then become clean water which your citizens can drink. Storage. All resources acquired must be stored in the water tower. Cleaner toxic water in the cellar, food and clean water, which are the resources the citizens use to feed themselves, and in the small warehouse for all other resources. Citizens don't fetch resources if they have nowhere to store them. Move the camera to a water spot. Okay, so the wheel is zoom, and then the right click, holding the right click pans. And I guess it's wanting me to pay attention down here. Let's set down a pontoon, a retention basin, and a water tower. Open the construction menu. This is what I was wishing Under the Yoke could have done. Something a bit more, I want to say invasive, not really invasive because that has a sort of negative connotation, but just something that's more in my face, saying, okay, click this, now click this, now click this, and just taking me through the whole process. A pontoon, a retention basin, and a water tower. Start with the pontoon. Shift to flip the building. Okay. Huh. I can only flip it 2 ways, so I can't position it where the land portion of it can be here and then the bridge or the walk, I'm not sure what to call that, can extend out this way. There's our pontoon. Did that get built? Yeah, I guess that's what these indicate. Now we can do... We'll put that right next to it. That's our retention basin, so now we need a water tower for storage. And let's put that right next to it. We can make time pass more quickly. Double speed now. Pontoon is coming together. No assigned worker. So I guess we need to click on this and assign someone. Should we assign more than one? We have 6 available. Maybe we should wait and see if we'll need to assign to these other buildings as well. Looks like the water tower doesn't need anyone assigned. The retention basin may. Yeah, but it only needs 1, so maybe we should go ahead and fill this out. Vital water. We now have a water treatment infrastructure and the foundations for a healthy, sustainable irrigation system. However, the seasons come and go, severe and unpredictable. We risk disaster if we harvest only what is sufficient for immediate consumption. To keep our buildings running smoothly, we need to store enough clean water to prepare for drought. Obtaining clean water is crucial to the city's survival and development. Water's rarity forces you to balance the expanding population's growing demand with the means of supply and the climate conditions. Some climactic events, such as the dry season, can end up being fatal for an ill-prepared city, as the means of supplying water are slowed significantly or even stopped. Luckily, the upcoming climactic conditions can be consulted on your interface, displaying the weather for the current cycle and those to come. A cycle is a unit of time made up of 40 days. All this information can be found near the speed controls. Okay, what does that mean? We are missing the resource toxic water. So is that just because they're still harvesting it, I guess? Yeah, looks like that was it. Build 2 retention basins, assign 2 citizens to a retention basin, and obtain 20 clean water. So we need to build another retention basin. We'll just put it right next door. And once that's done, we want to assign another citizen. Looks like 8 days for cleaning water. It's pretty slow. I mean, we can speed it up, of course, but it's just a big chunk of time. Now we're ready to assign here. Construction completed. All we have left now is to obtain 20 clean water, and we've got it. At home, the oasis inhabitants have slept for too long under an open sky, separated from the ravages of the climate only by a stretch of canvas. We need to house them in permanent buildings. To do this, we'll need materials and warehouses to store them in. Piles of rock likely to suit our needs can be found all over the area. Best show good judgment in using them. Resource withdrawal. To construct buildings, you'll need resources. They can be collected in several different ways. One simple method is withdrawing resources on the map to collect ingredients. The Withdraw Resources action is available in the Quick Actions bar, which is where exactly? Huh. This action enables you to withdraw resources and plants from the map so you can collect them with the consequences of destroying the plant or object. Use this method to collect rock from rock clusters. To begin, find the rock clusters on the map and withdraw them. Remember to build a small warehouse too, so you'll be able to store these resources. Oh, that's here. Okay, there's a rock cluster. So we need a warehouse. I don't know where to put that, except maybe just near the resources. And now we will withdraw resources, and then we just mark these, I guess. It's telling us we don't have a storage building yet, and now that's gone away. Citizens need a roof over their heads to keep them safe from the climate, and so they can live in decent conditions. Your citizens will go eat, drink, and rest at home, making their home's placement strategically important. When refreshing themselves, citizens consume food and clean water. These resources are drawn directly from a nearby cellar. This is why houses must be set within a cellar's range. As well as setting houses within the right range, if the citizens are able to eat and drink, there must be clean water and food in the cellar. This is why all storage spaces automatically ask for 20 units of each resource, so citizens will bring those in. Within a storage space's interface, you can modify the number of resources requested or even refuse a given resource completely, which can be convenient when it comes to defining where certain resources are stored, or even to prevent citizens from eating certain food supplies. Transport and priorities. As all resources must be carried between structures by citizens, it is of vital importance to keep a sufficient number of citizens unassigned to any building and therefore available for courier duty. Citizens automatically place a higher priority on your direct orders, with the tasks they consider most important coming second. However, you can make any order or building a priority relative to any other order or task. For example, your citizens will fetch and collect resources of a building marked as a priority before any other. Okay. We need a cellar and then 3 houses within range of the cellar. So where is the cellar? Okay, here we go. Here's the cellar, and that marks out the range around it. And we don't want it to be too far from the places where they can currently work. Let's start here. This has a lot of parallels to Against the Storm. The cellar reminds me a bit of the hearth. That sort of defines where you can put your housing in Against the Storm. We need 3 houses within range of a cellar. I wonder if all these have the same capacity, they all take the same space. They take the same amount of time to construct and the same number of citizens, and it looks like the same resources. So I wonder if they're entirely aesthetic choices, or if there's some hidden difference that I don't yet understand. No food in nearby storage buildings. Maybe we didn't place them close enough to the small warehouse. But we did complete the mission, so we'll just be content with that for now. The supplies we carried with us are dwindling by the day, but picking the region's strange thorny fruits is risky business, and eating them is even riskier. Before collecting anything, we have to rule out any danger in exploiting these plants. Our scientific knowledge is limited, but the old distiller at the Oasis has sufficient equipment to carry out basic chemical experiments. By providing him with a mobile workspace, we can begin our botanical studies. 4 adults and 0 children have joined the city. Well, it looks like the game may have crashed. I was having a good time up until the crash. I think that's a pretty good one. Has an interesting loop. The tutorial was really great. I think they did a good job of teaching the mechanics, and I'm looking forward to maybe playing more of that one once it's released. Let's take a look at the other items, the other games that we still have on the wheel. We've got Realm of Ink, Pampas and Selene, Children of the Sun, Vendir, Pepper Grinder, Tales of Kinzara, Horn of Balance, Alruna, Pacific Drive, Mullet Mad Jack, and then the one I just added today, Tales from the Dancing Moon. I don't think we will get to all of these, but hey, who knows? If I do one of these every day, we might. But I think that's all for today. We will come back to this in the next couple of days and try a few more demos. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you'll join me again next time.